Hello and welcome to the Sober Experience, formerly known as the Spiritual Experience, where we share stories of overcoming problematic situations in life through triumph and working together, as well as recovery topics and all other forms of spirituality, self-help, and the like. I'm your host, Jay Lewis, and here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Sober Experience. Like and subscribe on all podcast platforms. You know the deal. Let's set this thing off correct. Yep.
Sometimes when all alone, I get this feeling.
Yep. Man, you remember when hip-hop sounded like that? Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good week. Hope you're having a good life. We are chilling. Beep, boop, boo. Yep, Saturday night just before Sunday. You know, 1 week removed from the Super Bowl and whatever that was going on. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. I don't really care. I stopped watching football when? I don't even know. I don't even know if I ever really watched it, even though I played it when I was a kid. I played it and I had a lot of fun because you know, it was whatever. Because I like to hit people and I like for people to hit me, and it was the thing to do, and I was very easily persuaded. My friends were like, "Oh, let's join the football team." I was like, "Okay." I was in junior high school. My dad, he never played football. Well, he never signed me up for regular Pop Warner football or whatever. So I just played in junior high school for a few years. And it was a lot of fun. I think we lost every game. Yeah, we lost every game. And which was wild, you know. We were just very unorganized. Our coach, yeah, you can't really blame the coach. The kids, we were good. Some of us were really good at, football in the playground when there's no rules and everyone's just yeah. But when it comes to calling plays and having assignments and covering positions and all this other shit, it's yeah, it ain't it. That ain't it. And but we got in a couple of I guess fights on the football field, and yeah, how much can you really fight with all that gear on, But whatever. Anyway, so I know everybody was making a big deal because Taylor Swift is dating some friggin' guy who plays or whatever. I don't have anything against Taylor Swift. I don't know a lot of her music. I know peripherally I know of it, and it's because, I'm a little bit of I wouldn't say a Beyonce hater. But I just don't love Beyonce. And then, I found out that, Taylor Swift writes a bunch of her own songs and can play instruments and all this other stuff. And who knows what anybody else could do if they could even do any of that shit. I remember when Kanye went crazy because Beck, his album won album of the year or whatever. And Beyonce didn't. Meanwhile, the guy wrote and produced and played every instrument on his fucking album. And Beyonce had an army. So there's that, Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with my boy Eli. We have another guest episode that's dropping next week. It's very yeah, it's an intriguing thing with my cousin Angel and his wife, Jess. So that's going to be really cool. I hope you guys enjoy that. Incredible story. These two, they've been together a long time, up, down, left, right, and they're going to take you through their, their journey. They had some issues, complications of, trying to become parents. And, so we go through all that kind of thing because that really tests your faith. Your faith in humanity, your faith in what you believe is to be true, which is that like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm living this way. Like, why can't I get what I want? Making like incessant, not on purpose. And this is not like a thing, but I'm just saying like, in hindsight, like you're making demands on life, and they're only called demands because your reaction when it doesn't go your way. And I'm very guilty of that. And I'm not saying that they are, but like when that happens, you only get closer to, God, really. Because if you believe in him enough, you have to believe in him enough that you're like praying, right? Because if not, then who's answering the prayers? And I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm talking about all of us together. It's like, when you start praying for shit or you're asking somebody for something, that means that you are understanding that you do not obviously have all of the control and that you are not God and that there's something else out there, whether it's the universe, whether it's the man in the beard, whether it's, whatever God you want to pray to or deity or whatever this other thing is, spiritual something. In those moments, you are recognizing that that is not you and that it's out of your control. Even though I always suggest from my experience that we all have a lot of influence on our life based on our actions and our attitudes and behaviors. So you're in control more than you think, and it's in those choices when the outcome is not automatic or instantaneous, the actions that you take during those time matters more than maybe some of the actions that got you into the pickle in the first place, right? Because then it's like, during times of distress, you can either make something better or worse, or allow it to, work itself out, but it's very hard to have any kind of mental and emotional clarity when you're in distress because, you met the right woman or man or person, and all of a sudden you find out that they are not who you think they are. They are who they are, but they're not who you think they are, that they're a human. I don't know. I watch sometimes these things when I want to punish myself, where, and I would pass this test with flying colors now, but where like they do like the guy's like, oh, let's do a loyalty test. It's like these Instagram reels or whatever, and so the couple's like, yeah, and the girl's like, let's do a loyalty test. The guy's like, all right, cool. You guys switch phones. And then, it's a collection of, like, who knows what the stats are. But number one, a lot of these reels are with, like, young people. Young, I mean, like, in their 20s, not even 30, I don't think. Because anybody approaching 30 would be like, yeah, I don't know if you're gonna touch my motherfucking phone. But like other young kids, they're like, yeah, let's switch phones. And then all of a sudden, this is a collection of ones where the female is out there, having fun. Having fun and doing whatever. And the guy's like fucking heartbroken. And he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, no. And then, it goes into all the pack peddling and whatever, which is funny because a lot of people, maybe we've been conditioned to believe that it is mostly men. They say all men cheat, and that kind of shit. I'm just like, maybe, I don't know. Even if all men have cheated, that's probably a better statement. I know most women, I don't know any woman who would even be honest enough with a man and be like, yeah, I cheat, or I have cheated, like whatever. So it's like, with that kind of social conditioning, this guy's little Instagram show or whatever is giving people like validation. Like, yeah, man, there are good guys out there. I'm one of these good guys, apparently now. And, yeah, I'm not fucking around in any way, Now, it doesn't mean that, I don't know what my wife would get mad at if she had my phone. She's more than capable of having it. She can look through it. She can do whatever she wants. I know myself. I don't have anything that I believe to be inappropriate on that phone. I know I'm definitely not fucking around or playing footsie or whatever, But yeah. But I'm sure she'd find something to be upset about. And that's the thing, you look for trouble, you find trouble. So why even look for trouble? She's like, yeah, I would never look in your phone. And I even asked her yesterday. We were watching Dexter. I was like, because there's some kind of betrayal shit going on in the show, whatever. And I don't want to be like one of these people that seem soft, but I was like, oh, do you trust me? And she's like, mostly. I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, but it's all me. It's not. I said, all right. I said, is there anything that I'm doing that would make you think? And she was like, no. She's like, it's all me. I was like, okay. That's cool. I respect that, And, so we move on. We moveon.org. So, we got that kind of stuff going on. Where we're just like having these other conversations about, just differences. Just people are different, and everybody has their own agenda. I wouldn't even say agenda. Their own impulses, And some people's impulses are to protect themselves, and other people's impulses are not. And when there's a difference, like where does forgiveness come in? Where does understanding come in? I've been reading a lot about forgiveness lately. I'll explain like a little thing as far as like, difference of whatever. Difference of perspective. That's what I can say, right? Difference of perspective. So, my little one, they're 17, almost 18. They got angry this week, and they broke their closet door. I don't, I'd be like, yo, we'd have to have like a little bit of a chat. Like, hey, man, we can be breaking shit. Breaking things is the last stop on a train of other things that are maybe not going your way, and it's frustration, and whether it comes in the moment or it's a compilation of events, and then all of a sudden one little thing happens and you're like, motherfucker, and break the thing. Anyway, so my wife just texted me. She's like, Sam broke the closet door this week or whatever, right? And here's where I get like very, I get little bit like not like a weenie, but it's like the other day Sam was angry and broke their closet door, so we have to throw it away somewhere, right? And I was like, can I ask why I'm only hearing about it now? It's a valid question, and I knew that even asking that question, I don't know. Is that asking for trouble? Who knows what it is? But I was just like, why are you telling me now? Why don't you, whatever? And she said, I forgot. And I said, and then this is, because we've been having these conversations, periodically. And when you have honest conversations with each other, in my mind, sometimes it's like dangerous. I'm like, dude, am I about to make my life a little bit more difficult for the next 2 days? Or am I just going to have to, or am I just saying something because I want something to stop? Am I expressing myself? Do I matter? And so when she was like, I forgot, I said, when things happen and you don't feel the need to tell me right away and then tell me days later, it makes me feel like I don't matter. And she wrote back, she said I forgot. It wasn't that I don't feel the need to, I only remembered because I'm helping them clean their room. And I was said, hey, look, this is where I guess we are different. I would feel the need to tell you right away. You don't have that feeling, so you don't say anything, and then that's how you forget. This is what I mean. My first instinct with something to do with the kids is to tell you it's not the same for you, that's all. And the wise woman that she said that she is, she was just like, okay. And I was like, all right, that's the thing. That's what I learned. And I learned that, number one, people are different. And number two, everybody has their own perspectives. But I learned that in AA, with doing the steps, and I learned a lot about being considerate of other people is sometimes a learned skill. And I'm not saying that she was inconsiderate, but she just was not considering me. It's not like purposeful forgetting, but it's about like building a habit of purposeful remembering if it's not automatic for you. And if it's not automatic for you and I say something, I'm just letting you know how I feel. Because then I should be, part of me impulsively want to be like, well, look, you don't want to tell me when the shit breaks. So guess what? You figure out how to fucking get rid of it. Why are you involving me now? But because you got to get rid of it? Yeah, you take the door outside, and you get a new fucking closet door. What does that mean? Am I not allowed to ask my kid about, why they're getting angry and breaking shit, which is outside of their character? Is that what's going on? I can turn it into that whole scenario. But instead, I'm just going to be like, hey, look, there's next time something happens, it's impossible to forget when you make it a point to think about somebody else. And I learned that because, like I said, I've been reading a lot about forgiveness this week and what does forgiveness really mean. So similar to when I was talking about my cousin and his wife, or anybody else, and you're praying, like I said, you're praying, you're asking for something, and then you don't get it. And because you don't get it, let me ask you, are you willing to forgive God for not giving it to you? Is that, are you willing to, or are you going to stay mad at him, her, zer, whatever you believe, the spirit of the universe? You're going to stay mad at life. You're going to stay mad at life because it's not going your way, or because it's not going your way. Where it's not really constructive unless you're using that anger as a spotlight to realize that maybe you should consider some more humility. It's okay to be disappointed. I think that's part of a human. You can't just take everything and just, it just rolls right off me. Like, that's not really, I don't know how, I don't even know how human that would make us inhuman. But at the same token, it's not constructive to really hold on to that kind of stuff. So what are you doing to put forgiveness into the situation? Because forgiveness is not something that you can do. I think it's just something that, from what I'm learning and relearning, and through these experiences. It's just something that you feel. You feel forgiveness. You can't just be like, oh, well, you got to, I have to forgive this person. I don't even know how to forgive them, how to forgive anybody. Like I had no idea what that meant or what that was. What am I forget when I, before I got sober and before I went through the step work and before I had a lot of people who were helping me, I was like, forgiving means what? That I got to make pretend like the shit didn't happen? Is that what it is? I got to give this person a pass? Like, does that mean that I'm like a punk? What does that even mean? I had no basis. I had no experience with that. I just held on to vendettas. There weren't even resentments. Resentments obviously is, the AA and NA program tell you that resentment is the number one offender to a happy life. And it's the number one threatening thing to your sobriety is resentment. So how do I get rid of resentments? What they tell you to do is like, oh, you got to pray for that person. It's like, what? They were like, yeah, you got to pray for that person. Now, I didn't know how to pray for people. I didn't know how. And I'm not saying that I 100% know how now, but I can say that this is how I learned. The first person who taught me how to pray for people was this big Puerto Rican guy. His name was Fisherman Mike. He's amazing. I don't know where he is. He stopped going to meetings 10 years ago, And at that time he had 16 years and he was very helpful. I love him. I should call him. He was very helpful. And he would say, hey, Booby. He was funny. He's a Puerto Rican guy that would say Booby. And he was a big fucking dude. He'd say, Booby, just here's your prayer for this person, Patrick. It's not like a real thing. Just using that word. Say, hey, look, God, whatever, say whatever you wish for me, I wish for him double. I hope he gets double whatever you're planning on giving me. Whatever that is. Whatever you wish for me, I wish for you double. And I said, like, what? Doesn't even make any sense. But that's what I would do. I just pray for people. Man, I hope you get double whatever I get. Not knowing what it is, not knowing anything, just doing that. Just thinking of another person in that way, even though it was in a negative way. Wishing them double. And then what happens, right? They're like, you pray for the person every day for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, it should start to like lift. Because you're telling yourself to think about somebody else more than you're thinking about yourself, I guess, subconsciously. I don't know. I don't know how much it really would help at that point, but I can tell you what really started helping me and righting the ship, which was we got to the 9th step, which is one of the things that they show in movies and in television about 12-step programs and whatever. It's like a big thing. They like show the meetings and people are, they're fucking eating, they're drinking coffee. Somebody's up there sharing some story or whatever. And people are clapping like, whoa, like, day count. I don't know. And they're talking about, oh, you got to go make amends. You got to go make amends to people. I'm like, yeah, I had to do that. It was not easy. I made my list. I had to make a list. It was segregated into 3 parts. People who I thought would be easy, who I thought would be not so easy, and who I thought would be like impossible, like easy, medium, hard, And these are people that I had a list of people basically almost in my whole life, that I had wronged, that had to go make amends. What does that mean? It means I got to find them, sit down with them, invite them for a sit down or whatever, and try and straighten things out. And I had the kind of sponsor at that time that, it was like very specific. He was like, listen, we're going to make a list and you're going to unless somebody is fucking dead or in fucking Hawaii or who knows, there's not going to be a situation where you're not going to be able to make this amends unless they don't want to see you. And there's people like that were from that list that even to this day, they didn't want to see me. They didn't want to. They were non-responsive when I reached out to them, when I did some hunting to find them. It's just back before like super social media or whatever, 20 years ago. Yeah. So either way, I found who I needed to find, and then I go and I sit across from them, with my newfound sobriety. Now, at the time, if you're doing it, quote unquote, by the book, AA tells you like, hey, I'm here because I'm sober and I'm supposed to be making these amends and blah, blah, blah. I didn't do any or say any of that kind of stuff. I just didn't. I found that to be very not ingenuine. So I would just sit across from people and say, hey, listen, I'm here because I was wrong. My attitudes, the reason why we had a falling out or why our relationship is strained, because my attitudes, my actions, and my behaviors. That's the main reason why this is, why we're here. And I'm letting you know that, you know what, I'm wrong. And I was wrong then. I feel bad about it, and I'm wrong. And I'm willing to do, if there's anything I can do to make it right to you, I'm willing to do that. And then I would shut the fuck up. And, that was the first time in my life that I felt forgiveness. Because people forgave me. And they were happy for me, some of them, that I had turned this corner in my life, that I'm trying to do the right thing, that maybe it validated some of the good qualities they saw in me, and then their hearts were broken by the betrayal of my instincts for self-preservation at the cost of our friendship or relationship. It was different. I definitely wasn't going back to ex-girlfriends and doing all that, because you got to really be careful of those motives. It's an emotional thing to really sit down with somebody. At that time, my sponsor was like, bro, best thing you could do with some of these girls is just leave them alone. Don't ever speak to them for the rest of their life and your life. And when you're ready, don't ever speak of them in any disparaging way or any comical way, especially, when they're not around or whatever. And then making an amends is changed behavior. And also admitting that you're wrong. So what I'm saying is that up until that point in my life, I didn't even know I had those other ideas of what forgiveness was. And then I started to feel forgiveness from other people. And it was a lot. It was, I'm not going to say it was unbearable, but it was very uncomfortable. Because these people, not all of them, because trust me, not all of them forgave forgave me. But a good percentage of these people were showing me something in themselves that I have yet to achieve. You know, some of them were like, bro, yeah, listen, I forgave you a long time ago about that stuff. It's all good. Don't worry about it. And I was like, and I felt good. You know? And so for me, it also, the other thing it did, what I was giving them was also, it was like a two-way street. And I'm sure I've spoken about this before. But I was giving them validation that they mattered and that their feelings mattered and that they weren't, I don't even think if they thought they were crazy, but if they did and I was gaslighting them or doing whatever, now they know that they weren't crazy. And that was just being a dirtbag. You know, living that life. So, yeah. So, I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, what is forgiveness really? You know, I don't know. I know what it feels like. I know what it's like when I have to tell somebody. I guess you're just letting go of all of that expectation, of all of that sense of betrayal. You know, I had one cousin call me because, you know, some other family members or whatever, like, yeah, they don't want to do business with them. And they're like offended. And it's all those feelings are true. Yeah, you know, I've been offended by my family too, and by my friends. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm like, yo, man, I was like, I get it, but what's the truth? When people are staying out of your way, they're doing you a favor. And I know it hurts. It hurts. But the truth is, especially if you've helped them in other ways before, and now all of a sudden it's like, yo, we could help each other in this thing and we can both make money and do whatever. And then it turns into like, nah, or just, yeah. And I'm like, yo, dude, you got to leave them where they are. God is trying to throw some of these people out of the boat with you. You know, I'm not saying out of your life, but, you know, there's a lot of complications when it comes to relationships in general. And then you throw some money on top of it, bro. The stage is set for it not to end good. And I explained to my cousin, I was like, you will make all your money with people that you do not know. And you will have a lot of the best experiences of your life with people that you do not know, that are your quote unquote chosen family. That's like the new buzzword. Your chosen family. Yeah. You know, if you find people who have the same values as you have, and not even the same values all the time, just the same goals. Like, hey, we want to, you know, the people who I do the cold swimming with, the people who I'm in the gym with. You know, I have experiences with all these people who they're not my relatives, but we're experiencing something. We're all doing something at the same time and we're trying to be great. Like, sometimes that's better than fucking Sunday dinner with people that you have the same DNA with. They have all these judgments and all these resentments and none of the forgiveness. Or they have like the alleged forgiveness. You know, they have the forgiveness, but they in a way that like, yeah, I'm going to be around you, but I ain't going to, you know, I'm going to hold this over your head or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to get into rambling territory. But like, yeah, tying it up, you know, it's a powerful thing, you know, but it happens on its own. It's one day you wake up being like, wow, I guess that doesn't bother me anymore. I don't know how it happened. Maybe the praying for the other person. Maybe me experiencing, I know a lot of it for me had to do with me experiencing other people forgiving me. And then it's hard for me to deal with like somebody like my mom, who my mom, she holds fucking resentments against a lot of people. And I'm like, you know, I try to explain to her that like, hey, listen, man, like, you know, there are people on the same way you're talking about this person, other people used to talk about me like that. So, you know, people used to say those things about me because they were true. And then they forgave me. You know? She's like, what are you talking about? I don't understand all of that kind of stuff, okay? It's, that's it. You know? She has like that very old, like, bro, you're gonna, you know, it's not that I don't want to leave this earth with like stones in my heart. I just don't want to carry them around anymore every day until I leave this earth. You know? So I just do what I can to make sure that that's not the case and to be a good example for other people so they can see that it's possible. Now, forgiving and forgetting is not the same thing. You know, forgiveness is remembering and letting go. It's not forgetting. You know, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on, you know, whatever. Shame on me. I'm having my George Bush moment. But yeah. So yeah, it's, you know, and it just means that like, hey man, it's okay. People can move and be however they are as long as you know how they are. And, you know, you respond accordingly. And be surprised when you give people a little bit of space to feel that forgiveness if you give it to them. How much it'll help them change. So we're going to tap out. Like and subscribe on all podcast platforms. I'm highly considering starting YouTube page and uploading all the videos. There's no, there's no videos. It's all audio. So I'll take any recommendations on how you think the best graphics or whatever you think it could be happening. I was thinking about doing like stick figures or some shit. But I see, you know, there's people on Instagram now that do those little cartoon stick figures. So I'm like, it look like I'm biting off of them. But I've had that idea for so long and I didn't fucking do it. So here we are. And when I mean for so long, like I was, you know, I have a lot of ideas and then I don't act on them. And then I see other people doing them. And I'm like, obviously I didn't invent that idea, but I'm not the only person who thinks that's a good idea. So it's okay. Even if people think I'm a biter, maybe I'll figure out a very inexpensive way to get that done. The Sober Experience. We'll see you next time. Peace.